Almost 3,500 fans were on hand in Freedom Hall to see it. It might be a disappointing crowd. I know it's a Wednesday evening, and we can discuss. I know that when it was for Southern Conference titles, like say against Furman, the game was selling out. You've got to also remember, I mean, it's football season still, isn't it? I mean, really it is. NHL season is almost going to be about a third of the way through right now. I still can't get into it. It's football season. Come on. I mean, there's talk about a new Vols coach. There haven't been a month worth of days in history when a new Vols coach has been introduced. We got to talk about it's football season. So basketball, you come up, but you know what? Bucks are 5-3. They're going to play a nobody team from south of us in Tennessee called Hiawassee. They'll win that. You'll be watching football or listening, by the way, to the Cowboys and Giants at 1 p.m. This Sunday on 1420 NBC Sports Radio Tri-Cities. Tomorrow I'll tell you what football games you'll see on TV, unless you want to go online or the sports bar or, what ticket. But if you're, old-fashioned and you watch what game comes on the tube, I'll tell you which ones you'll see tomorrow on Tri-City Sports Now. But the Bucks, what can I tell you about this? This was, to me, a team that beat them, 18 points, first game of the year. Turnovers, they didn't seem to be. The Bucks out-rebounded. Rebounding was a big concern for Steve Forbes. They out-rebounded the Norse. They wound up 18-point lead at halftime, wound up beating them. Final score, what do we got? It was like more than 10. Forgive me, or I know I should know this off the top of my head. The final score, 84-71. I thought it was 13. Northern Kentucky, it's their worst game of the year, Northern Kentucky, that they handed them. Bucks shot well from the floor. This is getting to be a team, Bo Hodges coming forth. They're finding new scorers. This is a deep team, even though they only had one starter return. Guess what? We're 8 games into the year. Forget about one starter returning. This was a big victory. Bucks will be 6-3 on Monday when we talk to Steve Forbes next. They're not going to lose to Hiawassee. Then they play the Xavier Musketeers in Cincinnati. Why does ETSU always seem to play Xavier? What's that with I guess Cincinnati isn't all that far away. Seems to be a little bit of a kinship. The Reds fan base there for years and years and years. But they always play Xavier. Is always on the schedule for whatever reason. That's big. The Bucks can go to Cincinnati and beat Xavier. It's sort of like the Kentucky game where you say, okay, I'll go up there, hopefully they'll play competitively. Oh, wow, they had a 10-point lead, and then Kentucky overtakes them, and you never expected ETSU to win that game. Come on. Goals of this team before, and I picked them 5th in the Southern Conference, and I'm not ready to, they beat Northern Kentucky. My goodness, forget about picking Greensboro like I did in the media poll to win the SoCon. Oh, yeah, Francis Alonso, he's a hack. No, that's not what we're doing here. That's still my pick. But this is big, and I hate to start the Steve Forbes rumors again. He did interview, though, at New Mexico in this offseason. I do believe, 50-something man, not the candidate that a younger man would be. That's why, Chad Danuga, for instance, has a new coach. Furman has a new coach, but ETSU does not have a new coach, despite the fact it was ETSU that went to the NCAAs last year. It was the age of Forbes. But consider what it would be. Forbes has already won 24 or more games in his first 2 years at ETSU. What I also like is that he's talking about standards. He said that player he inserted into their lineup recently, I'll tell you more about him, and do it before because he wasn't playing ETSU standards. I got to ask him about that on Monday. Because to me, what are ETSU standards? I can remember this team winning 7 games in a year. And I'm not talking about they really were 7-19. Murray Barta, because he beat 3, lousy teams that weren't even Division I to go 10-19 his second year at the helm. I'm talking about 7-20s. I'm talking about 7-20, and you're including Bluefield in that record as a victory. I remember those. I also remember ETSU being talked about in the sporting news as a sleeper for the Final Four. I also remember, more recently than that, 2004, when Jeremy Pruitt was still coaching high school football. I remember Sports Illustrated picking outright ETSU to go to the Sweet 16, beat Cincinnati. Yeah. So there's a big, as big as the temperature range of St. Louis, Missouri, is where ETSU basketball can be. There's an analogy I'll bet you would have bet good money you would not have heard today, a reference to the various temperatures of St. Louis, Missouri. Keith Hernandez told me personally there's no other place in the entire country with a bigger range of temperatures from winter to the summer than St. Louis, Missouri. He ought to know. Wouldn't Keith Hernandez know that? I think he would. Yes, obviously. But did you expect that? If you had, what would you have gotten for the odds on this show of hearing weather information secondhand from Keith Hernandez? Well, I do have a career in this, But as I look to this, and I say that, the thing is that I was in a little bit of a way hoping that ETSU would struggle a little bit this year. I have the 20 victory. It'd be sort of an also-ran season. Very good year, but not a great one. Go to a tournament, I don't know. I guess the NIT doesn't like to pick SoCon teams, and, they don't really like the CITs or anything. Good year, couple of nice regular season victories, and then, thanks a lot. There you go. Good. Reason why is that I thought that would keep Steve Forbes in a fold. I don't think that after, say, a 20-14 season, I forget how many games that ETSU plays, but just 20-14, I don't think he's going anyplace after that. And then as he gets older, then I say, okay, then he has the nice tenure at ETSU that could be perennial NCAA appearances, could be a return to the national rankings, could be enough motivation to have a new arena built in Johnson City and make the area more cosmopolitan. That's what I'm kind of hoping for. I think Forbes wants to advance his career. Yeah, I think he does, because this team now, it's about ready to go 6-3. They're going to have a winning record, and a nice record, going into the Southern Conference season. I, look at this as being, this is kind of an interesting situation right now. Now, here's the question, though. And I could see, at his age of 50-something, back-to-back NCAA tournament appearances. He's not going to his alma mater. I do remind people that always say, I think, whenever the ETSU coach does well, everybody thinks some other team is going to pick him off. And that actually, I think, really does it's horrible for the ETSU brand. You're just a stepping stone. Realistically, maybe that's what you are. But just as soon as a coach does well at ETSU, could another program look at him? Yes, I think that could happen. Didn't happen for Murray Bartow. In fact, it's only happened 3 times before, and 2 times that coach left to go to his alma mater. The one that left was the local, Sonny Smith, that didn't go to his alma mater. He went to Auburn. Go figure that. But I am saying this, if, though, ETSU were to win, go say to the NCAAs twice, and then it would be a Forbes going to a major program after that. Because 2 straight NCAA berths, you might look at him then, especially with that personality. Would the ETSU brand be significantly increased to the point that you could bring in another good coach? There's been, I've been a part, I've known of 3 real coaching searches that I've really focused in on at ETSU. One, they brought in a good coach that was very unpopular at the time, but he was a very, very good coach, still coaching now at Navy Ed DeChellis. And I like to pride, especially on this radio station, first version of this show, I was the first guy in the local media to say DeChellis has it on the ball. I was probably the last guy in the local media to say Forbes did, because I was one of the last people to really embrace him. But yeah, there was Chillis. I liked Chillis. I don't think the way he left was very good. But then again, Penn State had put some pressures on him to keep things under the rug. There was some lying going on from ETSU at the time, which didn't make any sense at the time, and I reported it, won awards for it. David Mullins hated me for it. I'm proud of that. David Mullins then hired Murray Bartow. Murray Bartow, I don't think was a bad coach. All-time leader in NCAA tournament appearances at ETSU. But he probably wasn't Ed DeChellis, and he probably wasn't Steve Forbes. And, I mean, it lasted 12 years because at ETSU, as long as you don't shoot somebody, and you can do it with a camera or vaccinate someone, but I mean with a gun, as long as you don't, do that, then you're going to keep your job. They do not like to say they do things wrong at ETSU. Anyway, point here being that the brand at the time, and it was odd because they had a turnkey team to go back to the NCAAs in 2004 when Murray Bartow was brought in. Jimmy Patsos, who was an assistant at the national champion Maryland that year, really wanted to come to ETSU. They wouldn't give him an interview. But could another coach, could Scott Carter and company bring in a comparable coach to take ETSU to that level if Forbes were to leave? That's going to be a big old question coming up. Because Carter's a new AD. Carter's real enthusiastic. He knows how to schedule a football game. But does he know how to hire a coach? I mean, right now we're waiting on his Torbush going to get his contract extended. He hasn't done that yet. So this is the question that we ask about the future of ETSU basketball. I just wonder if ETSU basketball does well again this year, if they go back to the NCAA tournament, would that actually mean long-range doom for the program? It's like a catch-22. There's almost some benefit in rooting against ETSU this year on the hardwood. All right, enough of that. That's a theme song. Colin Cowherd comes up next. I wonder what he'll say about the Tennessee situation. He's had a lot to say, and you know that he'll continue to do so. Tomorrow, I'll tell you what football games you're going to see. More on the Tennessee coach, the new one, Jeremy Pruitt, maybe even a little NASCAR talk. Tri-City Sports Now comes back tomorrow.